thought this would be a little fun to discuss. The other day, I made a post on X talking about how the comparing of Superman and Man of Steel, specifically the inflation comparison, is just dumb and idiotic. And, well, it completely blew up on X, and I got a lot of people upset. A lot of people got their panties up in a bunch in their butthole or whatever you want to call it, and it got out of hand. And it didn't just stick in that post. You can see in other posts that I had over the past couple days even, that they're just kind of like trying to hound me and make a point that they're right and I'm wrong. And not a single person has been able to explain to me how comparing a movie from 2025 to a movie in 2013 makes any sense at all. So let me pull it up here for you. So this is the post I'm talking about. I posted it a couple days ago, August 4th. And I said, this is why Man of Steel inflation argument is dumb. Man of Steel, released in 2013, adjusted for inflation, makes $927 million in 2025. I get it. That makes sense. Inflation goes up, money goes up. The thing is, that is a terrible metric to use because the state of films are different today than they were in 2013, which is just 12 years ago. Man of Steel, if released today, would not make $927 million. It probably wouldn't even make it $670 million. Close, but probably not that much. Let's look at something like Gone with the Wind, for instance. Adjusted for inflation, makes $4.45 billion in 2025. The thing is, release that same movie today without any preconceived notions of it, it'd be lucky to make the $189 million it made on its original run. Why? Because the market is a very different place than it was in 1939. That is why adjusting for inflation is not a metric that is used to compare new films against films from the past. It makes no sense. Studios focus specifically on the current market, current trends, and their budget to determine the success of a movie. So that is what I put. All right. I get it. Look, I'm a big fan of Man of Steel. I want Superman to succeed. I love that Man of Steel succeeded in 2013. I love it. I'm a big fan of that movie. I'm glad that we got Batman vs. Superman. I'm glad that we eventually got Zack Snyder's Justice League. I love Wonder Woman. I like Aquaman. I like the Suicide Squad to a point. I like that we got those movies. I get it, okay? And I'm glad that it all stemmed out because of the success of Man of Steel. Because it was successful, okay? The full stop. Man of Steel was successful in 2013. But in 2013, the average superhero movie was making $650 million to $700 million in the box office. Theater tickets were up 40% more than they are today. They were selling 40% more tickets than they are today. So if you sit there and take a step back and take a look at things, what was going on in 2013 is vastly and massively different than what's going on in 2025. Because when you just sit there and say, adjusted for inflation, you're just looking at the number of how much money one makes compared to the other. Well, no, what they want to say is, well, this just says how many butts are in the seats. Okay, but I just explained to you why that doesn't work, okay? Because things are different in 2025. I just explained ticket sales are down 40% in 2025 from compared to 2013. All right. And I say that multiple times here, multiple times. Okay. So when you take a look at this and, you see, like I even replied to somebody here. I say those numbers are really low. My estimates based off the average ticket price of $8-ish in 2013 is about 82 million tickets sold. So that's 82 million butts in seats for Man of Steel. Today, the average ticket prices are about $10.50 for about 56 million tickets sold so far. That puts Superman just 36% behind Man of Steel. So there's a 36% difference in ticket sales compared to Man of Steel. Guess what? That is in the range of difference that we've seen in drop from 2013 to 2025, which means, guess what? If Man of Steel released today, it would probably see a similar type of attendance. Okay? There, full stop, guys. Like, that's what that means. But again, people just lose their minds. You see the RT Snyder cut who tried to do an haircut event last night, and it went nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. These people are just dying off, guys. They're dying off. It is hilarious to see. Absolutely hilarious to see. Then I posted today, Avatar's the biggest billion-dollar movie nobody actually loves. This Constantine guy right here, 670 million. Like, that wasn't even the first time he did that. I posted about Hulu and Disney merging, and he goes like this. Like, we're talking about this. Nothing. It has nothing to do with DC. And goes, 670 million is higher ground than 550 million. What does that have to do with this? And he goes, I know it stings you, and I like souring your day. I was like, you just look like a fool. And then he just does that. And then he does that. It's like, what these guys are like, these people are nuts. They're crazy. They're the ones that look like complete idiots. Because I can sit here and with complete and like common sense and understanding of how things work. And I can put it black and white, clear as day, crystal clear. You drink fizzy lifting drink. Like, I put it perfectly here. Sorry for the Willy Wonka reference. But I put it perfectly here. But they still want to push back and say that Superman doesn't do as well as Man of Steel. But why? Why does it even matter? Okay? So then they also sit here and try to say, actually, Snyder and the spin-offs of his movies beat every single MCU movie it went up against. 1 beat 1, 2 beat 2, and edited 3 beat 3, and edited 4 beat 4, butchered 5 beat 5. So he tries to say Iron Man and Man of Steel, Incredible Hulk, Batman. First off, whatever, we'll go from there. But if that's true, that means 1v1. So Man of Steel versus Iron Man. Okay. So if we look at Superman versus Iron Man, Superman is successful based off their metrics. Simple as day. Oh, but you're not taking into consideration. No, they're just looking at the gross, the box office gross, people. I'm going based off their metrics that they're sharing right here on screen. Based off their metrics that they're considering a success. You see, they make themselves look like the idiots. That is what happens. Because they're so damn set on trying to prove that what came before was successful, which we know it was. Like, there's no denying that what came before was successful anymore. Yes, it sucks. Financially, it succeeded, but it is not continuing. Accept it. Move on. It's done. Move on. Okay? What is happening now is Superman and the DCU is moving forward. If you can't accept it, then shut the fuck up. Plain and simple. Just move on. Okay? It's that simple. But here's the deal. You have people like their leader, Aaron Fisher, their RT Snyder cut people. They want to try and sit there and say, like, hey, we know what we're talking about. We know what we're saying. And all these people don't know what they're saying. No, Superman is a success. Superman has been successful. It's done everything it needs to do. It's doing what Warner Brothers wants to see. It's doing what DC Studios wants to see. You know why? You know why it's doing that? Jeff Snyder said something really interesting. Look, I don't agree with Jeff Snyder all the time, but he said something interesting. He says, I think the problem is the audiences, which is you guys, seem to want your taste validated by the box office. Of course I was right about the film's quality. Look how much money it made or didn't make. Box office has nothing to do with quality. Zero, nada. And I wanted to expand on that because he's right. There's so many times a movie, whether the box office is good or bad, has no inclination of what quality of the movie is. Now, I'm not saying Superman is bad quality. I think Superman has very good quality and is a good movie, but the box office isn't showing that great quality because of everything surrounding it right now. Look at Thunderbolts earlier this year. Fantastic movie, but the box office is not showing it. And what I say is, the box office doesn't mean a movie is good or bad. I've seen bad movies make $1 billion and good movies make $300 million and vice versa. It is what it is. The box office discussion lately has been absolutely wild. I've never seen anything like it before. The funny thing is, most of you all have no idea what you're talking about. You try to compare things to movies from 15 years ago, try to finagle current numbers to fit your own agendas. But the bottom line, and this is something I want you all of you, to really think about and understand, because this is the most important part of what I'm going to say in this entire video. Studios will make the decisions that best serve their interest. And they don't care. They do not care about your feelings one bit. Now, I get it. Billy Moore here, he says the audiences decide whether or not a movie succeeds, not the studio or the actors. I get that. And yes, he's right about that. But at the end of the day, the studio will always do what is in their best interest, because some fans will end up being happy. Some fans will end up being mad. But they don't care. They don't care if fans are happy or mad. They will, at the end of the day, do what is in their best interest. They did it in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19 with the DC. They're doing it now in 2025 with DC. And you can get on board with it or you can not like it, but it's going to continue. And here's the thing. All your bitching and complaining, trying to compare Man of Steel to Superman isn't going to matter one iota. What happens right now, 2025, moving on, Superman is a success in the eyes of the studio, in the eyes of the fans, in the eyes of the people that actually matter, which isn't even the fans. It is the people sitting behind the desk at the studio. That is what matters. But regardless, it is a success. It's done everything it needs to do. It doesn't matter what Man of Steel did 15 years ago. It doesn't matter what Batman vs. Superman did 15 years ago. It doesn't matter. What matters is what happened today in 2025. How it compares to what's going on in the industry today. That's what matters. So you can sit there, bitch and complain. I can show you how all your comparisons are poppycock. What matters, though, in the end, is that the DCU is moving forward. And that's that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. And with all that said, I'll catch you all later.